small wooden house, the young doctor gently placed her hand on the scar along Truong's temple. She understood that what he carried wasn't just an injury. It was a memory lost somewhere between 2 points in time. "Do you hear someone calling you?" she asked softly. Truong frowned. A faint sound, like a breeze brushing past an old memory, echoed inside his mind. Then suddenly he spoke a name that startled even him, because he had no idea where it came from. On the other side of the hill, Tieu sat on the unfinished porch of the wooden house, holding Dewey in her arms. Her eyes stayed fixed on the long road where he once walked away and promised to return. Two worlds separated by distance. But one memory had just begun to stir. Will Truong and Tunu ever find their way back to each other? Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow the next chapter of their journey. The early morning sunlight stretched across the dirt yard in front of the small wooden house like a pale yellow cloth. The first rays filtered through the palm leaves behind the house, making the quiet hillside feel even more still. Truong sat in the yard, splitting dry firewood at his feet. Each swing of the axe was slow, not the strong, steady motion of a healthy young man. Every time the blade hit the wood, his body trembled slightly, as if he was trying to steady his breathing, while keeping his focus through the foggy fragments of memory inside his head. His eyes drifted off now and then, chasing some vague image, a dusty road, a girl's hair blowing in the wind, or a soft voice calling to him. But whenever he tried to grab onto it, everything faded, leaving a sharp sting at his temple. His mother stood under the porch roof, quietly chewing betel nut as she watched him. Her eyes showed not only love, but a constant fear she'd carried for weeks, the fear that the son she pulled back from the edge of death might never remember the life he once had. She let out a tired sigh. Her worn brown sleeves were always marked with dust or the smell of smoke. She had lived her whole life on this land, enduring everything alone. But nothing exhausted her more than watching the son she had raised like her own sit there in broad daylight with eyes that seemed lost somewhere far away. Suddenly, the sound of a motorbike cut through the still morning. The engine echoed from the top of the slope. She squinted, adjusting the scarf on her head. A woman in a white medical coat stepped off the bike. It was Dr. Lan, the same doctor who treated Truong when his mother found him unconscious near the cliff. "Dr. Lan, you're here?" she said, relieved. The doctor smiled gently. "Is this your son? I'm here to check on his injury." Hearing that, Truong paused. The axe froze midair. He turned to the unfamiliar woman. He didn't remember. Her didn't know she had saved his life. Yet something in his chest skipped a beat. A strange sense of familiarity flashed through him, but disappeared just as fast. "Please come inside," his mother said, both anxious and hopeful. Inside the small kitchen, sunlight slipped through the old roof tiles, scattering patches of light and shadow. The doctor set down her bag and gently removed the bandage from Truong's temple, revealing the long scar. She leaned closer, examined it, then nodded. "The wound is healing well. No more danger." Truong nodded, but his eyes remained distant, as if the words had nothing to do with the storm in his mind. The doctor placed a hand on his shoulder. "Are you still getting headaches? Any new memories?" He didn't answer right away. The kitchen fell silent, except for the crackle of firewood and the wind outside. He lowered his head, his hands tightening as he searched for words to describe the chaos inside him. Finally, he spoke slow, strained. "I just see flashes. Not clear. Like someone calling me." His mother turned away quickly so the doctor wouldn't see her eyes welling up. The doctor continued, "Do you remember your name?" He nodded. "Do you remember your old home? Or any family? Besides your mother here?" He frowned, lifting a hand to his temple, touching the scar. After a long pause, he said quietly, "No. I try. But it hurts too much." The moment he reached for his memories, pain stabbed through his skull like needles. The doctor nodded, more serious now. "Don't push yourself. With injuries like this, memories return little by little. Forcing it will only make the headaches worse." His mother added, "Doctor, he's been waking up at night. Sometimes he sits outside till morning. He keeps saying he hears someone calling him." Truong lowered his head, embarrassed. His mother had stayed up so many nights watching him sit alone in the dark. The doctor asked, "Do you know who's calling?" "I'm not sure. It sounds familiar, but I don't know who it is. Male or female?" "But female, I think." The doctor and his mother exchanged a look, but said nothing. After checking his wound, she tested his reflexes, attention, and short-term memory. He recognized common household objects, a bowl, a ladle, a towel, which meant his present memory was intact. But when she showed him simple drawings to test his associations, he stared at them blankly, unable to connect them to anything. She took notes, then said, "Truong, your body is recovering well, but your memories, they need something or someone important to trigger them." "Someone important?" "Yes. Someone who once made you happy, sad, hurt, or deeply loved. Your mind is blocked. Only a strong emotional spark can bring the memories back." His expression shifted. Suddenly, a blurry image stirred in his head. A woman standing in the rain. A hand he once held tightly. A name he wanted to call but couldn't speak. A wave of pain hit him. He grabbed his head. His mother panicked. "See, every time he remembers something, it hurts. What do we do?" "It's okay," the doctor said calmly. "This is normal. The closer he gets to the real memory, the more it hurts." She turned to Truong. "Don't be afraid. This pain means your memories are waking up." He took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. After packing up, the doctor sat for tea with his mother. They spoke quietly, but he heard bits and pieces. "Somne, someone. Kira is yours. If we find an SIA, memory will return." He didn't understand everything, but something inside his chest tightened. The image of the woman in the rain appeared again, unclear, distant, yet it made his heart race just like the first time she showed up in his dreams. He turned toward the open yard, staring at the pale sky. Softly, he whispered, "Who is she?" No one answered. The doctor stood to leave and placed a hand on his mother's shoulder. "He'll remember Mrs. High. He just needs something to awaken it." His mother's eyes glistened. I just don't want him to live his whole life not knowing who he was. The doctor offered a comforting smile, then drove off down the hillside. A breeze swept across the wooden roof, carrying the scent of fresh grass. Truong stood in the yard, rubbing his temple, staring down the long, hazy road ahead. His heartbeat quickened. Somewhere out there, someone was waiting for him. A memory he couldn't reach. A past life calling him back. He whispered, almost unconsciously, "If I meet her again, I think I'll know." And that was how everything began. That afternoon on the hillside was quieter than any day before. A soft breeze rose from the valley and slipped through the unfinished wooden walls of the small house, making them shake with a faint sound, just like Tieu's own heart trembling while she tried to stay calm. This wooden house, it was supposed to be the place she and Truong would live together. Back when he was still by her side, he used to smile and say, "I'll build the roof for our family myself. It doesn't need to be pretty, just strong." That sentence still echoed in her mind. But now the house was only half done. Loose beams, a door without hinges, floorboards not fully in place. The house looked unfinished, just like their love, broken halfway. Painful to hold on to, yet impossible to let go. Tunu sat on the front porch, leaning against a wooden post. Dewey played nearby with the toy car Truong bought him before he disappeared. Every time the boy laughed, her heart tightened a little more, because those small sounds were meant for two people to hear, her and Truong. But for now, she was alone. She rested her hand on her pregnant belly. The baby had grown, and sometimes kicked hard enough to make her flinch. She whispered, "Baby, your dad is close. So close. He just hasn't remembered us yet." Dai looked up. Mom is Dad Truong, coming home soon. She had heard that question for months. Each time felt like a small cut on a wound that never healed. She forced a smile. "He'll come home? He's just working far away." Dewey nodded, too young to understand. He went back to shaping dirt into cakes, singing a song she once taught him. Watching him, her eyes grew wet. Far away, the sun sank behind the mountain ridge, turning the sky a deep orange. The last rays of light hit the unfinished wooden house, making it look like a half-painted picture waiting for the missing piece. She looked at the house, then at her son, then placed her hand over her belly. "Truong, when will you come home to us?" The wind blew harder, carrying the smell of the forest and loneliness. Ever since she ran into Truong at the marketplace, when she threw her arms around him and he stared at her like she was a stranger, her heart had fallen into a deep pit. She didn't blame him. He was hurt. He lost his memory. He was suffering more than she was. But the images kept replaying. The moment she hugged him, the moment he froze, confused, and the moment he asked, "Who are you?" That question pierced her like a knife. She knew he didn't mean it. He didn't betray her. He didn't forget her on purpose. It was his injury, his stolen memory, fate's cruel joke bringing them together again at the perfect wrong moment, close but strangers. Yet, in the last second before they parted, she saw something in his eyes, slightly red, slightly shaking, scared. Someone with amnesia can't fake that. His heart remembered, even if his mind didn't, and that alone gave her just enough strength to keep going. As the air grew cold, Dewey ran to her, hugging her legs. "Mom, I'm hungry." She stroked his hair. "Okay, let's go cook dinner." She stood up slowly, her steps heavy from the pregnancy. Sometimes her belly tightened sharply. She always calmed herself by whispering, "It's okay. Your dad is close." She lit the stove. The familiar smell of burning wood filled the house. Dewey sat beside her, playing with a stick, chatting about school. Tunu smiled now and then, but her eyes kept drifting toward the path down the hill. That was the path Truong used to run every morning. He once teased her as they walked hand in hand. "When our house is done, let's plant a bougainvillea bush here, so it smells good every morning." She had laughed and agreed. Now, the bush wasn't planted, the house wasn't done, and he wasn't home. When the rice finished cooking, Dewey suddenly shouted, "Mom, someone's on the road." Her heart froze. She rushed outside, but it wasn't Truong, just a neighbor passing by. She sighed, but her heart dropped anyway. Night fell. The unfinished wooden house faded into the darkness of the mountain. Tunu put Dewey to bed. He held one of Truong's old shirts, the one he refused to sleep without. "Mom, it smells like Dad?" "Yes, it does," she whispered. He fell asleep quickly. She stroked his hair, feeling that mix of love and heartbreak, because a 5-year-old shouldn't have to live without a father. She stepped outside. The moon hung coldly above. The wind shook the wooden walls. She hugged her belly, leaning against the porch post. If Truong still had his memory, he'd be holding Dewey right now, kissing his forehead, making him laugh. He'd wrap his arms around her from behind, touch her belly, and say, "Our baby is strong, just like you." But now, she stood alone. An unfinished house, a paused future. She bit her lip as tears fell. "Truong, I'm so tired, but I'm not giving up, because I know you're still there, somewhere inside you. You're still looking for me." A sudden gust slammed the loose wooden panels, sounding almost like someone knocking. She gasped and turned around. No one. Just the wind. But she smiled anyway, painful but hopeful. "It's okay. I'll visit you tomorrow." She knew it would hurt her. Every time she saw him and he didn't recognize her, something inside her broke. But she still wanted to try. For Dewey. For the baby. For love. For the family she believed would be whole again someday. That night she lay next to Dewey, wrapping her arm around him. She placed her hand on her belly. "Your dad will remember." "Right." The baby kicked lightly, almost like an answer. She closed her eyes as a tear slipped down. Outside the unfinished wooden house stood quietly in the dark. But it was still standing, just like her love that never faded. Waiting for him, waiting for the day Truong came back, not with a lost memory, not with distant eyes, but as the man she loved, as the father of her children, as the one who belonged to this half-built home. And she truly believed one day very soon this house would be complete.